Good morning, guys. I'm glad you're all here. Hope you're enjoying your Tuesday morning. Here we're looking at a live view as I'm recording this of Old Faithful. Back over here on the left is the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome. Yellowstone is so big it's got actually 2 resurgent domes. Yeah, steaming away, a little chilly there. They've had several earthquakes, and of course USGS downgraded them. They're actually larger than what they're reporting. And they're only reporting 2 within the last 24 hours. I'm doing laundry, so you might hear the washing machine chugging away here. Anyways, there was a magnitude 2.5 close to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. In the area, I've covered this, the recent activity. Jackson Hole. This area has been having a few earthquakes as the Yellowstone rises up because of its recharging, the magma coming into the system. It's shortening the fault zone over here, and the valley floor is actually rising up. So this 2.5 was shallow. It was 4.8 miles below sea level. All earthquakes are measured at sea level. If the caldera actually extends that far out, the magma chamber that's under the ground, that would be, let me show you, within the upper magma chamber. Here you can see the depth. We got the upper magma chamber, the cap of rhyolite over here. Over in this area here is the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome. Then off to the right would be the Sour Creek Resurgent Dome. Here's another image. I've talked about how the magma, because of the cap of rhyolite, has been flowing horizontally. So we got a depth of 2 kilometers. You can see the heat here, then the depth of 8, depth of 14. Let me bring this down, make that bigger. Drawn out in black is the rim of the caldera. The dotted lines, that is the 2 resurgent domes. Here at the top, kind of center right, is the Sour Creek Resurgent Dome, and then this one would be the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome. And let's go back over here and show you the heat. And yeah, this is where they've been having a lot of the earthquakes, the Madison River area. Hold on. Remember, I talked about how under the ground in some of the locations, only 600 feet is pockets of melt. Not all rock melts at the same temperature. And then let's come over here to this other image. Now this would be 8 kilometers in depth. What it does is it comes in from the Snake River Plateau, flows under the ground, rises up probably close to the Sour Creek Resurgent Dome. And then the magma has been going out horizontally. And you can tell that here too by the heat that is only 2 kilometers under the ground. It's like, whoa, yeah. So it's coming up from here. And then it's kind of going a northern, maybe slightly northwest direction. You can see the lines too. This cap of rhyolite, it's solid. Yeah, there is areas where it does crack, and it's trying to come up there at Yellowstone Lake. When that happens, the pressure builds. They could have a hydrothermal explosion, or it could crack open and the lava flow out, much like what's going on there in Hawaii, except Hawaii is basalt and this is rhyolite. Rhyolite, like I said, is the most explosive type of magma you can have. It has lots of gas, so the pressure builds until it finally pops. How many of you have dropped a can of soda and notice that the bottom or the top of the can would be pushed out but not erupt? Well, that's kind of what's happening here at Yellowstone. It's rising up because of the pressure from the magma. and that rhyolite cap is keeping the pressure in. But eventually it will pop. There has been 40 small eruptions since its last major eruption, 350,000 years ago. What it did in its major eruption was an unzipping, a counterclockwise unzipping like a zipper. Multiple eruptions happened, going all the way down to Heart Lake. And when it reached down there, both caldera, resurgent domes, the Mallard Lake resurgent dome, which is this mountain, this hill on the right, and then the Sour Creek resurgent dome, both collapsed at the same time, blew out, the Tetons and the mountains, etc. The other earthquake was a magnitude 1.8, they're saying. That one is 4.2 miles below sea level. So again, that would be in the upper magma chamber. Now, notice the kilometers in depth over here on the left. How it goes up towards the Sour Creek resurgent dome. This is important. So its depth would be somewhere up in here. And then going to Google Earth, here's the 1.8. Let's bring it out and let me show you something. Alright, 1.8 Sour Creek resurgent dome. Yeah, interesting, huh? Fern Lake, now that's the area where they found through satellite images where the trees had died from the roots up, fallen on the ground, and they burned up from the heat of the ground and turned into charcoal. This image here is from 2015 when the trees were still laying on the ground, but they're all gone now. They're burned up from the heat of the magma that came into the system. We got Turn Lake, we got Fern Lake. This is the Sour Creek resurgent dome, and here is the 1.8, which was only 4.2 miles in depth, and this is 2 kilometers showing the heat coming up. This here is the Sour Creek resurgent dome. There's the Mallard Lake resurgent dome. Yeah, and the area of rhyolite. First, I'm going to show you the magnitude. I get a 2.65, and I really shortened up the seismic signature. And yeah, it looks like harmonic. This would be where magma is coming into the system. And then I noticed over here, I don't know if I can do this. Let me make this bigger. While I'm here, I wanted to take a look at this right before this earthquake. Yeah, look at the melt. So evidently, now this is Lake Butte. Yeah, you can see the melt, the hot gases here that came in, and it goes by color when you're looking at the map or the chart. Dark blue is colder, and then it goes all the way into reds when it's really hot. But what it looks like is, we had a gush of magma coming in, then we got another weird signature there. And you can see here at the bottom, this is what it was showing when I pulled the files. Now USGS says it was a magnitude 2.5, but I got a 2.6. There's location. I thought it was interesting, the rock structure here on this side of the bank. You can actually see how there's a fault line there. And let's bring it up because it's between 2 fault zones. Okay. Over here on the left, is Jackson Hole. We got the Cache Creek Thrust Fault, the Teton Fault. Let's bring this out. So it's got more than likely the magma chamber somewhere up around here. because this is the area where you can see the edge of the mountains was blown out. Okay, and this is the 2.5 right here. This 3.6 was in 2020, and there was also another one in 2021. So, like I said, this area here, the valley floor is rising up as Yellowstone rises up. And I drew out in black how much area had risen up, uplift, because of the recharging. That's, I don't know if you can see it with all my notes. The black line is the distance of uplift as of 2015. Now this one point up there by the Sour Creek Resurgent Dome, up there where those trees burned up, boy did they lie. It was not a 1.8. Did I say 8.1? I got my, dyslexic. Which was 4.2 miles in depth or 6.8 kilometers in depth. Yeah, they lied big time. This earthquake was actually a magnitude 2.70. You can see it down there at the bottom. And I'll bring it back up. Look at the heat now. I talked about. This is from Lake Butte. This is a monitor from Lake Butte. Yeah, I talked about the heat. Let's look at the seismic signature. This is both tectonic in earthquakes and volcanic. We got one right there that's got the sharp point, but most of them are, you might classify that one and that one as a sharp, but majority of them are rounded, which would be volcanic, the recharging of it. And then prior to that, we had magma coming into the system. There's the line of melt, the pocket of melt. Let me close that so I can look at the signature for you. Alright, and we'll reopen it. There you go. They actually call this blobs of magma. Yeah, because it's the magma recharging into the system, rising up. It's kind of like a beach ball. Magma just naturally wants to rise up. And this is Lake Butte. This is where they got that crack. Yep. Now this monitor on the left, that is the borehole for the Madison River area. And we got one in red right there. And the one on the right is Lake Butte over there at Yellowstone Lake. Being marked in red means the computer picked it up, sent a message to those there at the University of Utah, and it actually comes in as a magnitude 1.18. They're not reporting it. Now, a borehole, this is probably a good 600, probably a little bit deeper hole, a well dug into the ground so it does not pick up any outside noise whatsoever. No stampeding buffalo, no speed bumps, etc. And then we got another one marked in, oh, there's two of them right there. The one's marked in red. That one comes in as a magnitude 1.15. But often I've seen where USGS will actually add both earthquakes together. And if they're both added together, it would be a 1.56. Again, not being reported. And there's a spectrogram. There's a couple more small earthquakes, but they're not marked in red, meaning it probably happened someplace else. There's that signature for that one. There's one way off here on the right. And there was another one up here not marked in red. And another one right there. Let's go to the spectrogram. Where's this one at? Right there. Let's pull it up. Okay, and then let's see what's going on here. Yep, chugging along. Boom, 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 boom. Drum beats. What are drum beats? A change in frequency of earthquakes may foretell explosive volcanic eruptions according to studies. The scientific activity, the seismic activity changes from steady drum beats to increasingly rapid succession of tremors. Tremors are slow-moving, long-term earthquakes, not a sudden pop of an earthquake. They last a long time. Okay, they increase from a rapid succession of tremors. These blend into continuous noise which silences just before an explosion. I've talked about this before, about tremors. You know how up in the state of Washington, Vancouver, they've been tracking the tremors, the quiet, long duration earthquakes. So about the melt, when I talk about the line of melt. Now this is the borehole there at Madison River. This here's one of the lines as an example. We say partial melt because rocks don't completely melt. Rocks are made up of different materials and melt at different temperatures. These pockets eventually join together to form a flow of magma going to the surface to become a flow of lava once it cracks open. Now, people have asked about the different eruptions. What would probably be the next eruption? They're hoping the next one will be a smaller eruption. There's been 40 smaller eruptions since the last major eruption. They're hoping the next eruption would be small, and they would classify that as something like when Mount St. Helens went off. You know, its ash reached all the way over here to Yellowstone. That's what's in yellow, marked out in this map of the United States. Now, the yellow, they said they had a trace of about 1/2 of an inch. And there's Washington, Oregon, right there. Here we got South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Wisconsin. All the way down here, they got ash in Oklahoma. Now up here, where it's orange, it says it was anywhere from 1/2 an inch to 2 inches. So Yellowstone is right here in this upper corner. And to think that the next eruption, which they are hoping will be small, the size of Mount St. Helens. Yeah, you can figure if it was the same, how far out. Just move that whole map over. Here to Michigan and Illinois, Ohio. Yeah. If it was another major eruption, this is the death zone. People would be killed by the hot gases, the superheated ash, the pyroclastic flows, etc. Supposedly, where I'm at here in South Dakota, we could probably get 3 feet of ash, at least probably. And then they got the secondary ash zone. Yeah. If it was a major eruption, the weather patterns could be changed for decades. It would have a major cooling of the earth affecting all the crops. Even right now, okay? Throughout this area where they do a lot of planting, a lot of growing. It's been unusually cold here. Example, right now it's only 43 degrees. At night it's been down to like 29. Too cold to plant everything. Too cold for anything to grow. Very unusual the weather has been here throughout the Midwest. And that's without a volcanic eruption. Just another reason why people should be prepared for a disaster. You know, we got the loss of the wheat coming from Europe because of what's going on there. China is buying up probably half of everything that's being grown right now. We got all these strange fires at food producers. The high cost of diesel is hampering deliveries. A lot of truckers are quitting because they can't afford the high cost of, shipping the goods. If you haven't prepared in the past for some sort of disasters, you should probably start doing it now. Things are only going to get worse. And then we got the N threat. The bear evidently went under cancer surgery yesterday. Have not heard anything in the news to rebuke that. A military leader who's more hawkish than the bear took office. Yeah, I'm speaking in code. We don't even know if his surgery was successful or if he even survived. Yeah, so you got the N threat with someone who is more of a warmonger than the bear. This ain't the first time we've gone head to head with the bear. We did it in Afghanistan. We did it in Vietnam. Yeah, this area here, I believe, this is an area where back in 2019 they got a new crack. It was looking a little dirty here a minute ago. So that's all I have for you right now. If any thoughts or comments or questions, please put those down below. Thank you very much for your support on Patreon. If you wish to support my work, I'm on there. You can donate $1. I got one lady that donated 80 cents, showing their support, and I really appreciate it. Some of you have gone above and beyond for your support. God bless you guys. But if you have any more questions or thoughts or comments, yeah, please put those down below. Thank you very much for taking your time to watch. Thank you for following me. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.